Hey guys, welcome back. It's 2022, also known as 2009 2.0. We got a new Avatar movie coming out. We've got a global financial recession, but we're not talking about freakishly tall blue aliens or the turbo nuking of the global economy today. No. As you can tell by that rather inflammatory title, today we're talking about Call of Duty 19, or as some like to refer to it as, Modern Warfare 2. It sits as the worst member in my rather generous pantheon of favourite Call of Duty games. And today, I want to explain why.
But this is tactical kill. Dropped him. Let's nail this bastard once and for all, son. I'm coming for you.
Alrighty then, now that I'm in some more proper attire, seriously, I have no idea how Ghost does that. Let's immerse ourselves in the purest form of Call of Duty culture.
Oi, fucking cunt face. Why don't you fucking put that neutral away before I shove it up your fucking arse, you cunt?
Multiplayer. Starting from the top, Modern Warfare 2 features a more refined set of movement mechanics with some new additions. Gone are the days, thank God, of slide cancelling and tap sprint resetting. No longer do you have to pop 100 milligrams of Adderall just to play team deathmatch.
Peels here! Grabbing peels.
The core gameplay is now far more chill and casual, which is where the new additions come in. Swimming returns from Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4, which I am personally a massive fan of. I always liked how it affected map design.
Oh god! Oh no, my dumb!
Dolphin diving also returns, except now it's a lot faster and snappier than before, and I gotta say, this is the first time that I've found dolphin diving to be legitimately useful. Like, don't get me wrong, it was fun to mess around with in Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2, but it's never that useful, but in Modern Warfare 2, it is. And also, Metal Gear Solid style wall hanging has been added, which I'm also a big fan of. You can hang off a wall, kind of MGS or Splinter Cell style with a pistol out, or you can use the feature to climb higher walls than before. The core gameplay now feels a lot more casual and chill and almost gimmicky in all the right ways, but there's still enough depth there to create a skill gap, I'd say. But having good movement means nothing if you don't have maps, and I've got to say, for the first time in what feels like a decade maybe, I'm actually really happy with the initial map offering in Modern Warfare 2. The maps are nowhere near as cluttered and visually noisy as Modern Warfare 2019's, but seem to apply that game's more intricate and complex design to classic design philosophies. Although granted there are no bigger and more open maps like for example CeeLo from World at War or Afghan and Wasteland from Modern Warfare 2, this is the first COD since probably Black Ops 1 where I can say that there's not a single map that I dislike. Even, I will say it, even the border map. I mean, it's definitely different and it's definitely not my favourite map, but I'll take a more weird and strangely designed map like this over another generic 3-lane map, although I will say, fuck those cars.
The area. Locating the next hard point. Get ready. Enemies in.
Although I gotta say, it blows my mind that you've released Modern Warfare 2 with no Modern Warfare 2 map remakes, at least at launch. I mean, yeah, obviously they'll come down the line as part of the live service, but how do you have Modern Warfare 2 without Afghan, or Subbase, or Terminal, or Rust, or Skid Row? These are maps that are already made, they're already designed, and you already know that people love them. I mean, surely that's easy content to bring back. Like I said earlier, there's a distinct lack of the more open maps. The maps that are there do feel a bit too tight and laney on the whole. Why not bring back Wasteland or Afghan as remakes at launch to spice that up? It just seems very weird because that would have been such an easy dub at launch, but I guess they'll be coming down the line at some point. Hey, you! Yes, you right there. I can tell that you haven't subscribed yet. In hindsight, maybe pointing a gun at a prospective subscriber isn't the best idea, but I can tell that you haven't subscribed yet. Hit that sub button right now. That's not an option. Now, something that I wasn't overly fond of in Modern Warfare 2019 was how heavy and sluggish the guns felt. I play a lot of hardcore milsim games like Tarkov, Armor, Squad, etc, so it's not like I'm not used to heavy guns, but COD was always my kind of twitchy, snappy escape from those games. And with Modern Warfare 2 kind of being the snappiest of the original Call of Duties, I was really hoping this year they'd maybe tone down the sluggishness of them, and the mad lads actually went and did it. Modern Warfare 2's gameplay still has that injection of realism running through its veins, but it feels so much snappier and more responsive now. Snipers, in particular, feel eons better than they did, to me at least, in Modern Warfare 2019. Using the SPR and the SAB, whew, it's got me feeling like a 15-year-old again, let me tell you. I feel like I'm in my prime again.
Oh, nice, Luke. Nice. And
it's still early days, but for me, the weapon balance overall, especially for a Call of Duty game, feels pretty good. I don't think, besides maybe the 74U, there's really any weapon or weapon class that feels inherently overpowered. The only thing I would say is that shotguns feel kind of underpowered and incredibly inconsistent in this game. Like, sometimes I'll ram the barrel of my shotgun down somebody's throat and pull the trigger, and it'll just tickle them. And then other times, I'll shoot someone from like 30 feet away and blow like a 50-inch hole in their chest somehow. They seem very inconsistent.
Target.
Now, a mechanic that I do miss that they got rid of for the first time actually in this game is YYing. You see, I'm like an OG COD 4 tryhard, so YYing is as much of part of my muscle memory as putting a key in a locked door, right? So it's gonna take some time to break that muscle memory. However, I gotta say, as somebody who loves guns and the kind of technicalities and mechanics behind them all, I love that they've kind of patched over YYing with having to hit the bolt catch. They've kind of cut the reload animation, at least for empty reloads, in half. So, of course, you've got the first half where you just put the magazine into the magwell, but when the chamber's empty, you have to hit the bolt catch as like a second animation that plays that can be interrupted. So, if you swap weapons when you put the mag in the magwell but not hit the bolt catch, when you get that weapon back out, you then have to hit the bolt catch before a round is chambered, which I like a lot. And I guess that's a good time to briefly touch on just how damn good this game's animations are. Obviously, Modern Warfare 2019 had incredible animations, but this game's are just somehow even better. The gameplay overall for me for Modern Warfare 2 feels kind of reminiscent of the older Call of Duties, of like Modern Warfare 3 and mostly the original trilogy, in that it's far more gun focused than killstreak focused than like recent games, and it's just a lot more slow and chill and casual, far less Adderall infused than like recent games, but at the same time it still has those hints of realism and kind of militarism? Is that even a word? Militaristic vibe, shall we say, from Modern Warfare 2019 that I did really enjoy. This game feels like a fantastic middle ground between modern Call of Duty and classic Call of Duty. However, it ain't all peachy. I think the sandbox overall, kind of, especially compared to Modern Warfare 2, feels a bit too sterile and lacking in the kind of gimmick department, if you will. There are no model 1887s, no Rangers, War 2000s, or Rafikas, or anything kind of pushing the boat out a bit like those weapons. And because of the new receiver system, a lot of the weapons just feel too similar to one another, which in turn makes the sandbox feel even smaller than it is. Where Infinity Ward really pushed the boat out with the new gameplay and movement mechanics, it feels like they played it way too safe with the weapon sandbox. When they announced receiver customization, I didn't think it was just going to end up being used to pad out the weapon sandbox with very similar weapons. I thought we were going to get to customize the upper and lower of any gun we wanted to our choosing, but I don't know, I guess we can't. The new system with receivers just doesn't add any new customization options. All it does is water down the sandbox with a series of very similar weapons. Now granted, this is of course likely to improve over time as more weapons are added to the game as part of the live service, but I don't know, first impressions mean a lot, and at first impression, especially compared to the Modern Warfare 2 of old, this sandbox just feels a little bit boring. Now, one of my absolute pet hates in video games are fake weapon names, especially in video games trying to be more militaristic and realistic, and my god, they drive me insane in this game. It just feels weird that Infinity Ward have gone as far as overhauling the engine and all the core gameplay and shooting and movement mechanics to pursue this realism approach, but the one thing that they refuse to do it with are weapon names, which, it just seems peculiar to me.
Say what?
Oh, I don't think so.
Is licensing for the weapons expensive? Yes, it is. But are Activision Blizzard a $56 billion corporation? Yes, they are. If games like Tarkov can afford to do it, then I'm sorry, there's no excuse why Activision Blizzard can't front the bill to pay for licensing for actual weapon names in their games that are trying to be realistic. This is a game that made $800 million in its first week. First week. They can afford to pay Heckler & Koch for the HK433 name, or they can afford to pay SIG for the MCX name. They just can. I feel like every time I see an MP7 with some fake, like, fanfiction tier LARPing name, I lose a little bit of sanity every time. For me personally, having all these fake weapon names for weapons that look and sound and feel very real just cuts into the immersion that all the other teams that work on sound and animation and graphics and textures and all that stuff have put in to make this game look and feel and sound realistic. It breaks that immersion that those create, and I don't like it. Maybe I'm being a bit over the top here because it's not exactly a game-changing feature, but I don't want to use a Vel 46. I'm going to use an MP7, and that's something you'll notice in this video. I'm not going to call them the Kastov 545. I'm going to call it the AK-105. I'm not going to call it the Vel 46. No, it's an MP7. I'm going to call it what it is. And further, the way that you unlock these fake weapons just ain't it, Chief. It ain't it at all. I get that the idea with it was to kind of decouple most weapon unlocks from the linear progression, so there's a less linear approach to unlocking weapons, but it just ends up being so much more convoluted and messy than before. I mean, for example, if I want to unlock the AK-74U, I first have to level the AK-103 to level 10, which then unlocks the AK-105, which I then have to level to level 13 to then unlock the 74U. Why is it that convoluted? But the new unlock system for attachments is even more convoluted. Instead of being unlocked on a per gun basis, attachments are now universally unlocked, but only by using certain weapons. So each receiver basically now has its own mini progression system, with each one unlocking various different attachments that go on almost any gun. So for example, I've maxed out the SPR and the SAB marksman rifles, max level, and yet I barely have any attachments for them because I have to level other completely unrelated guns to get them. Like, why do I need to level an RPK to get a compensator for my sniper rifle? It doesn't make any sense. I spend ages leveling these weapons, and it feels as if I just didn't get anything for it. And similarly, I'm not a fan of the new perk system either. It just feels, again, a bit too messy. It's simultaneously a dumbing down but also over-convolution of the traditional perk system. Instead of having blue, red, and green perks, you now have 2 base perks, and then a bonus perk, and an ultimate perk that are unlocked as you progress through the match. Now, I see what they're trying to do here, blending the kind of standard perk system with both Modern Warfare 3's specialist perk system, and then also the operator specialists in Black Ops 3 that you get over time, but I don't really think it works. Perks just don't feel as powerful or as impactful in this game as they used to. The absolute best evolution of the standard perk system for me is still Modern Warfare 2's pro perk system. That was a great evolution of it, and also I love Modern Warfare 3's specialist streaks. It's kind of not the same as pro perks, but it was a kind of evolution of the perk system, allowing to unlock more perks instead of kill streaks. I loved that in Modern Warfare 3, and I'm kind of surprised that's not back in this game, considering it was in Modern Warfare 2019. But so far, after those, any attempt to kind of reinvent the perk wheel has just felt like change for the sake of change, really, and I don't think any reinvention, this one in particular, fixes or solves any problems with the perk system. And on the topic of perks, whose fucking idea was it to bring back Last Stand? You know, in a strange way, I kind of respect it, but at the same time, fuck this perk, man. Why are we dealing with this again? I feel like it's 2011 all over again and we're still complaining about it.
No last stand. Fuck you, last stand.
Granted, very few people so far seem to have actually caught on to the fact that it's in the game. I've only ever encountered like 3 people using it. I'm praying that it's going to stay like that forever. But realistically, as time goes on and more people unlock it, it's going to start getting a lot more common and a lot more frustrating.
That's all I can handle. Yeah, that was I'm good.
I would also love to know whose fucking idea it was to design this UI, because good lord. Good lord. I have never in my life encountered a user interface as abysmal as Modern Warfare 2's in any game or piece of software ever. This makes Vista look like a masterpiece. This UI makes Halo Infinite's UI feel as good as Halo Reach's. Yes, I said that. What gets me is that Call of Duty's had the perfect template for its UI for over a decade now, since really 2007. It was aesthetic, pragmatic, and accessible, very easy to understand. And granted, recent games have tried to change it up a little bit, really since World War II, but none of them have done it anywhere near as badly as Modern Warfare 2. For some ungodly reason, Infinity Ward thought that it would be a good idea to hire multiple UI directors from Hulu, yes, the streaming service Hulu, to design the UI. And what we're left with is, hands down, the worst video game UI that you will probably ever lay your eyes on. A visual and technical mess. Now, sorry, just a tangent for a second. I'm sure you've noticed this by now, but almost all of my major problems with this game stem from attempts to try and reinvent the wheel. I mean, you look at weapon unlocking, you look at attachment unlocking, the perk system, the user interface, all attempts at reinvention that have done nothing but result in a shittier, more convoluted version of their former selves. Sometimes things are fine as they are. Sometimes things aren't broke and don't need fixing. Believe it or not, right, and I know this might be quite hard to understand, so brace yourselves. You might want to get a cup of tea and really sit back in your chair for this one. Believe it or not, I don't want a video game UI to look like a streaming service UI. I want a video game UI to look like a fucking video game UI. Another thing is that I will never understand, not just Modern Warfare 2, I mean, this is like a modern gaming problem. Modern gaming. Modern gaming has this fascination with side-scrolling UIs over drop-down menus, and Modern Warfare 2 continues this, and I don't understand why. Like, this new UI, side-scrolling UI, I can't see all of my custom classes on one screen. I can't see all the camos. I can't see all the perks. I can't see all the weapons. It's a terrible, inefficient layout for a UI. The virgin side-scrolling UI versus the Chad drop-down menu. Please bring back the drop-down menus of old. Video game designers in general, not just Modern Warfare 2 and Infinity Ward, but video game designers in general, I am begging you, bring back drop-down menus. But yeah, in almost every way, like visually, technically, pragmatically, every kind of way, this UI is just awful. Thankfully, news literally just broke about 10 minutes ago as of recording this video that there are going to be overhauls of the UI coming soon. Thank God it needs it, but it just confuses me that Call of Duty has a UI this bad when they have over a decade of fantastic UI design to dive into for inspiration. Now, something that I really don't like about modern COD, but Modern Warfare 2 in particular, given its legacy, is the lack of faction theming in multiplayer. One of the greatest elements of OG Modern Warfare 2 was its theming and how well that theming transferred over from the campaign to multiplayer.
Team deathmatch.
In multiplayer, the factions and their announcers felt like actual characters that you had like a degree of attachment to.
Take no prisoners, comrades.
Team deathmatch. Rangers lead the way.
But unfortunately, in the age of hyper-monetized operators, the only reason they exist, by the way, is so they can sell skins. That's the only reason why. That's the one sole reason they exist, for monetization and monetization only. This kind of faction thing is watered down so much to the point where in Vanguard, of course, we had the infamous my team versus the enemy team, and in Modern Warfare 2 we have like Cortac versus Spec Gru or whatever, but it's basically just my team versus the enemy team again. I miss the theming that playing as an actual organized faction with unknown soldiers over just generic, very gimmicky and cringe operators with nothing factions gave you. I really do miss the feeling of having actual characterized, stylized, themed factions in multiplayer. It brought so much life to the modes that you just don't get nowadays. And finally, let's round out talking about multiplayer by talking about the one thing that every single human being that ever plays Call of Duty nowadays has to talk about. It's compulsory. I'm sorry, we've got to talk about it. Skill-based matchmaking. And as always, skill-based matchmaking makes this game pretty miserable to play after about 2 to 3 games of going well, I'm not gonna lie. It's very noticeable. This is the most universal dislike of games in general nowadays, but COD is one of the worst offenders, and Modern Warfare 2 just continues that. You know, I will never be able to comprehend how matchmaking nowadays is so shit when Bungie just laid out the perfect groundwork for it in Halo 3 15 years ago in 2007. You've got your social playlist with loose skill-based matchmaking for when you just want to chill and play with players of any kind of skill level. But then you've got your ranked playlists with strict skill-based matchmaking and a visible rank that actually increases as your SPMM rank increases for when you want to sweat. I don't understand how having both is such a hard task nowadays. Games refuse to do it. In a game like Modern Warfare 2 that, I mean, come on, has absolutely no issue with population whatsoever, please point out to me one reason why Halo 3 style matchmaking and playlists wouldn't work. Please, go on. I'll be waiting. But of course, multiplayer is but one facet of Modern Warfare 2. There's of course the campaign as well, and you might be wondering why I've left that to the end and why, as you can tell in the time bar, I'm not going to spend much time talking about it. And to be perfectly honest with you, the reason is I don't really have much to say about it. As a standalone campaign and story, I think it's alright. It's serviceable, I guess, but when you bear the title of Modern Warfare 2, you stand in the shadow of a giant.
5 years ago, I lost 30,000 men in the blink of an eye. And the world just fucking watched. Tomorrow, there will be no shortage of volunteers, no shortage of patriots. I know you understand.
Now, by no means is this campaign all bad, not by a long shot. In fact, I think the encounter and level design in this game is quite possibly the best, or like top 3 best of all the Call of Duty so far. Very rarely does this game fall into the typical COD trap of having every level just be walk into room, kill enemies that have already spawned, walk into next room, kill more enemies, rinse, repeat. There's a lot more ingenuity in this game than just that. Things like the open world all gillied up level, rappelling down the skyscraper, the weapons down undercover Amsterdam level, creeping through nighttime rainy streets in Alone. There's a clear effort that's been made in this campaign to ensure that it's not just a room clearing simulator. And the same goes for objectives and interactables as well. Things like the missile mini-puzzle and the optional dialogue options were a great way to spice up a traditional Call of Duty campaign and add more ingenuity and memorable elements to it. And the Graves tank boss fight as well, although it was pretty rudimentary, yeah, and also reminded me quite a lot of the last boss fight of Dead Rising 1, there was a clear effort made there to spice up a boss fight and firstly, have an actual boss fight, because Call of Duty doesn't really do those, and secondly, to send out a villain in a different way to what normally happens with QuickTime events, and I really appreciate that. But for all of its unique set pieces and encounters and battles, it really feels like this Modern Warfare 2 just lacks any of the, and I hate to use the cliche word, but epic and bombastic moments of the OG Modern Warfare 2. There's nothing in this game that even comes close to the assault on the White House or the raid on the Gulag to free Captain Price. No encounters or level setups that even come close to being as bombastic and epic crescendos as they were. I enjoyed the character writing in this game as well. I think it was clear that they tried to make Ghost more than just a cool guy in a balaclava, especially when it comes to his interactions with Soap, in particular during Alone. And also, Alejandro and Rudy were fantastic. I mean, Alejandro was very clearly inspired by Benicio del Toro's Alejandro in Sicario, which this game was very heavily based on in many aspects as well, and I appreciated that. I loved seeing Mexican Special Forces work with Task Force 141 and also Shadow Company when they were friendly, but I think overall, Modern Warfare 2's story was pretty mid and very, very predictable. It didn't even have a mark on Modern Warfare 2 Evolved. I mean, from almost the get-go, I knew that those missiles that Al-Qatala had fallen to enemy hands thanks to Shepard, and I knew that that would be the cause of the betrayal, and I knew that Graves was gonna die, and I knew that it was gonna be Makarov in that picture. All the major story beats I just saw coming from a mile off. And I don't think that's even because they're repeated from the original Modern Warfare 2 as well. I mean, there definitely were better ways and more surprising ways, I think, to do the Shadow Company and Shepard betrayal than they did in this game. I mean, in OG Modern Warfare 2, Shepard's betrayal was such a fucking surprise, but it was a logical surprise when you looked at the details and you realized why he was doing it. And I think this iconic story beat in particular, just side by siding Shepard's betrayal in Modern Warfare 2 with Modern Warfare 2, just shows how much less impactful not just that story beat, but almost all of the reused story beats from Modern Warfare 2 felt this time around. And this all comes to a head, I think, with the incredibly anticlimactic ending, especially compared to Modern Warfare 2 of old, with the forced Makarov bait and the no Russian bait and all that stuff. Even though the way they're doing no Russian this time, I think is actually very cool and very modern with 3D printed guns. Can I even say that on YouTube? If I just blurred that out, then you'll know why. But bring those onto a plane, interesting, cool new way to do it that's not a copycat of last time. But I don't know, it just seems so forced in the end. And this issue with the ending just exacerbates an issue that I've had with this Modern Warfare reboot since Modern Warfare 2019. The endings just don't hold a candle to the original ones. Like, for example, you compare Call of Duty 4's ending with your teammates being executed in the wreckage of the convoy by Zakayev, and Modern Warfare 2's ending, putting an end to Shepard after a fateful duel in a sandstorm at Rust.
Nikolai, we've got to get Soap out of here. Nah, I know a place.
To this trilogy, where Modern Warfare 2019 ends in a coffee shop, and Modern Warfare 2 ends in a bar, both with really obvious sequel bait. It's just so lackluster. Even though, like, yeah, I did enjoy this campaign when I was playing it, it just cemented my wish that they'd gone in a different direction with this new Modern Warfare saga or trilogy or whatever they're doing, instead of just retooling the major story beats from the original games and executing almost all of these story beats worse than they were done in the original trilogy. I don't know, I don't think this campaign is bad by any means, but it's like probably, I don't know, 7 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10 if I was really pushing it. But when your game has the same name as one of the most iconic campaigns of all time, a 7 out of 10 just isn't good enough. Broadly speaking, Modern Warfare 2 is a breath of fresh air for me, for the most part. It's the most that I've enjoyed a new Call of Duty at launch since, Christ, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 1, maybe? And I'm usually pretty quick to sour to games. I mean, if I don't like a game, I can usually tell in the first hour or two, but this one, something about it just feels different. but thanks primarily to skill-based matchmaking, the attempted reinvention of the wheel at multiple turns, the god-awful user interface, and the disappointing story when compared with the Modern Warfare 2 of old, I just can't rank Call of Duty 19 Modern Warfare 2 any higher than the Greys. But with that said, it's my favourite Call of Duty in a long, long time. And that is why I think Modern Warfare 2 is the worst, best Call of Duty. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. As you can tell, a lot of love and effort went into this video, so if you still haven't subscribed yet, then please make sure you hit that sub button for more content like this. And so, I'm going to round this one out here because it's quite a long one, and, you know, I want to go play Modern Warfare 2. It's really that simple. I want to give a massive thank you to all of my amazing patrons for the continued support over there. As per usual, thank you all so much, and thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you all in the next one. That's good. That's good. That's really good. That was really good. Good shit. Good shit. Please don't demonetize me for pointing a gun at the camera. Please.